is New Mexico Frontiers. Presented by Veris Research.
Hello, and thank you for joining us on this edition of New Mexico Frontiers, the digital series. I'm Chad Brummett, and today we are talking, obviously, the entire show is about technology, and so we are talking with probably the main organization that we should be talking to, the New Mexico Technology Council. Mia Peterson, the Executive Director and C.E.O. Thanks for joining us today. So before we kind of unpack a little bit specifically about women in technology, let's talk about the New Mexico Technology Council overall. What do you guys do, and how are you helping the industry?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Chad. Excited to be here, excited to be a part of the series. So the New Mexico Technology Council, we're actually 24 years old, wow. And we're really living the mission that we were founded with, and that's to be an advocate for the tech industry, really be that source of not only knowledge, peer-to-peer education, but also networking and advocacy on a state level. So we really believe in tech. We believe it's great for our state, and our vision is really to create a better future through technology for New Mexico.
And New Mexico, of course, is no stranger to technological innovation. Obviously, the Manhattan Project taking place here, Sandia National Labs, Los Alamos National Labs, Veris Research, all sorts of entities and stakeholders in technology that have either been here or are developing and coming up here. When we talk about, before we started rolling here, we were saying, the industry, and I'm thinking, well, tech industry, that can be almost anything. So when we're talking about developing technological innovation in industry, what sectors does that include? Obviously, defense and, space exploration. What are some of the other areas and avenues that technology, when we're talking about this sector of commerce, what does that include?
Yeah, that's such a great question because it's incredibly broad.
Right.
And it's in everything we do, including education. If you think about how the universities operated during COVID, right? Really relied on technology. And I think, too, think about our daily life as we go through, how many pieces of technology you're touching throughout the day, and everything's kind of interconnected even in our homes. Mm-hmm. So at the New Mexico Technology Council, we're really all about, hey, let's look at tech as really a part of our lifestyle. Let's look at it as a tool that we can use to live more productive, fulfilling lives. Let's educate folks about it so it's not this scary thing. And let's also help people understand the workforce potential. Because with a tech economy in New Mexico, there's a potential for so many jobs across industries, right? Not just the scientists, not just the research developers, not just programmers, right? But also for folks to really help build that infrastructure around.
And that element of the conversation has come up speaking with multiple stakeholders, and that is the fact that, when you're talking about some of the technological innovation, you need journalists to write about it. You need artists to come up with renderings of it. You need communicators. There's a variety of different ways that people can get involved. It's not just, the PhDs, the physicists that are doing it. As you said, it almost needs its own Internet of Things in terms of its infrastructure. One of the key elements, and this one definitely hits close to home to me, being the father of a 13-year-old girl, is women in technology. Where are we in the state of getting more women involved in technology?
Yeah, such an important topic. And one of the reasons I got involved in this career path is, really helping to ensure that technology is accessible. And so specific to women in technology, the New Mexico Technology Council hosts every year the New Mexico Women in Technology Awards. There's a lot of New Mexico and tech in that, for sure, which is what we do. And we've been running this program. This will be our 17th year.
Oh, wow.
So over the course of the program, we've recognized over 130 women who are local to New Mexico who are really making a difference. This year, we'll have our program on March 13th, and we're really excited to highlight a diverse selection of women. And I bring this up because I think this is a great opportunity, to really also highlight all of the different ways you can get engaged in tech. Now, it's great that we have the award ceremony, kind of going back to your original question. The problem is we don't have enough women in tech, right? So the numbers are pretty disparaging. If you look at statistics from about 25, 30 years ago, we've only seen an uptick of about 20%.
Really?
More women, in the workforce for tech.
Do we have an idea of why that is, why we're kind of slow to get more females involved in this sector?
You know, I think a big part of it is it's always been a male-dominated field. And so some of that starts at an early age, right, where, girls and boys are sort of told, hey, this is your profession, right? We see this a lot with healthcare as well, right? Like, oh, women should be nurses, men should be doctors. I think a similar thing happens in STEM in general, tech being the T in STEM, right? Also science, engineering, and math, where just from a young age, girls are not necessarily encouraged. There are some incredible partners in our community doing work around that. One of our members, I'll give a shout out to, is Be Greater Than Average and R4 Creating. So Dr. Shelley Grunig is really targeting that and saying, hey, let's create a place for young women where they feel comfortable in robotics. Hopefully, we can continue to expand that into the classroom where, young women really do see themselves. And I think that's what's exciting about our New Mexico Women in Tech Awards and why I'm so proud of that legacy we've created is because we are really trying to showcase these role models. And we do recognize women at different stages of their careers. So not just, the PhDs who have made it, but women who have had long impacting careers in terms of mentorship.
Right.
And go ahead.
And speaking of, I know we spoke to one of the award recipients in a previous episode, Jennifer Sloan Warren, who works with Veris Research. And she is a great example of someone that really has kind of worked in the field for a very long time. Disclosure, I've known Jennifer for a very long time as well. And when I first met her, as we were saying, oh, it's Jen. Yeah, she's got the job she can't talk about. Yeah. She's got the job that's classified, but it's really exciting. And that was 20 years ago. So it seems then that really it's a matter of educators, parents, all of us kind of breaking down this cultivation that it's a male-dominated industry when really it doesn't have to be. There doesn't seem to be anything that is inherent to say, oh, this is why it's happening. It just seems that it's a cultural thing. And that's something that through a combination of stakeholders can be broken down and enable our younger women in STEM and in STEAM fields to feel, yes, empowered. I can go ahead and get out and do that. Am I wrong in thinking that?
No, you're spot on, right? It's if young women see other women doing it, they're going to say, yes, I have a place there. Especially young women, who come from diverse backgrounds, whether it's socioeconomic or disadvantaged or, seeing people especially people who look like you, right? Yeah. If you think about going back to who your role models were, right? I've certainly had mine, and they emulate that, and you think, oh, yeah, they did it. I can do it, right. Or I want to be like them. Certainly such a huge piece of it, right? Because it's not that women have any limitations, right? That's not it. I think another piece that's critical is creating work environments that are family-friendly, right? Okay. So I, just want to state very clearly, like, I love, and I run a very high productive team. I'm also raising 3 kids. So what's essential for me is to have some flexibility in my work schedule, right? And I still work probably more than 8 hours a day, but having a little bit of flexibility to kind of take care of those other duties, right? And thankfully, my kids are growing up. So at some point, I won't need as much flexibility. So I think it's also creating workplaces where, and I think we got this out of the pandemic in a way, right? We got to see, hey, you can have a little bit of give and take. Right. And, that goes miles, too, to helping women balance their multiple priorities. Yeah. I would say at this point, there's still, women run a lot of things, right, in the family dynamic. Not all, and it's certainly changing. But that, again, is one of those kind of gender biases we're seeing shift over time.
Right.
And yay to all the stay-at-home dads out there. We love you. Shout out. Keep doing it. We see you.
But I think you bring up a really good point. And, obviously, I think that we can maybe point to COVID for a lot of things that it served as a disruptor. And one of the things that it also kind of disrupted is the way that we are learning things and the way that the classrooms are functioning. And you were saying before we started rolling that the role of sort of non-traditional educational models, that is also playing a factor in this. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's huge. Absolutely. And again, one of the reasons I really wanted to be in the role that I'm in today, and what really hooked me into working in technology. So we have a couple of partners here in New Mexico. C&M Ingenuity runs a computer programming boot camp that is literally world class. I am their number one fan, but I can testify to this. In my previous role, I hired over 40 of their graduates.
Oh my gosh.
And this program is incredible. It's immersive. It's 3 months. Students go and they work full time. And so they're learning how, not only to program, but they're learning how to work on teams. They're learning how to communicate. They're learning how to work with external stakeholders, right? All of these skills that we know employers want, especially in tech, that are critical. Problem solving, ability to work well with others, ability to really have that client-facing interaction, they're getting. And so at the end of the 3 months, they're graduating and going out into their careers. So as I mentioned in my previous role, I had hired about 40 graduates in the time that I was with there. Yeah. And I saw these, the students, adults, come in and just hit the ground running, take off, far outpaced most of the employees who had 4-year degrees and at a similar career level.
Wow.
Absolutely. Because they had this work-based experience.
Yeah.
So classic example, we hired a young man, Travis. He came in, he worked for us for 2 years. Then he got picked up at the labs making $120,000 a year.
Wow.
Incredible, right? Like that's the kind of workforce trajectory we want here in New Mexico. We know that these tech jobs are going to create really high paying jobs that are going to help us with some of the socioeconomic issues like crime, poverty, the generational stuff. So, you can tell I get very passionate about it.
And it's great because I think, a lot of people too, they're saying this is what the workforce and this is what the sector wants. This is what New Mexicans want too, right? They want good paying jobs. They want secure jobs. They want, to be able to make a difference, contribute not just to the community here in New Mexico, but regionally, nationally, everyone, I would imagine, probably wants that to some degree. So the fact that we have agencies like that are making it happen, it seems like we're going in the right direction on that. That said, what do you see as the biggest obstacles right now for increasing women in technology and getting us to where we want to be?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think a huge one is right now we're really at a critical point where I think people are kind of afraid of technology, or maybe they're feeling a little bit separated, like, I don't really need to worry about that. I think the more that we can, and we're happy to help with this in my organization, the more we can educate ourselves, right? Like, hey, here are the pros, here are the cons, right? AI is a great example of this. Or space. This is another key industry for our state. The more people can kind of engage and approach it, not as, I don't have anything to do with that, or I don't know, that seems kind of crazy. The robots are going to take over.
Right.
I think that's going to go a long way to seeing all of the job opportunities, right?
Okay.
Because there is tremendous potential within technology, to have access to these jobs that are not only high paying, but they're really secure, right? We're going into the future and we're going to be moving away from the way we worked in the past.
Right.
So maybe, I guess it's I've been a little indirect in answering your question. I think it's a mindset shift as well, right? That there is a place for everybody in technology, right? So I'm not a technical person, but I've worked in tech now for, over 10 years. And I'm a business person. I'm an organizational person. And so I think there's always room for people to expand as these new opportunities grow.
And I think you service that, as you said, you're not a technical person. No. And I think someone would say, wait a minute, you're the executive director of the
Yes.
Mexico Technology Council. So you are the walking, talking proof that you may not be, this coder extraordinaire, but if you've got an interest, even if it piques interest, you can still follow those. Don't let the sort of the fear or the uncertainty, because I know, being on the outside as well, I'm one of those guys that might be concerned about artificial intelligence, or it may just I don't even know where to start on this because it's just so massive. So maybe demystifying, trying not to swallow the whole thing and just find one inroad that we can feel comfortable with and just kind of let it grow from there. That kind of seems like a good trajectory to at least start that shift in our mindset.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there are some things to be concerned about with AI, for sure, 100%, right? And the more folks can be educated about those, hey, here are the pros, here are the cons, here's the demystification, that's really going to help us, kind of also have that path forward.
Yeah.
So, my suggestion there is check out seminars from associations. We put on a lot at the New Mexico Technology Council, but you can also go to your chamber. You can also go online. I would say, obviously, if you're looking at big tech companies and their education, there may be a slant there a little bit toward what they're, producing for commercial reasons. But that's where associations still hold a lot of value, right? And that's something we're really proud of is we go to our member base. There's such a huge collective knowledge in our member base. And so they're really the subject matter experts, and we take those bits of knowledge and we put it out there.
Yeah. And I will say, going onto your website, there are a lot of seminars. There are a lot of upcoming things in 2025 that y'all are hosting, that you're working with and collaborating on others. So you really are walking the walk and talking the talk when it comes to making sure that this technology is accessible to New Mexicans. So speaking of, I want to make sure that we can get in, again, this Women in Technology event that is happening on March 13th. Tell us a little bit more about that. Is this something that is open to the public to attend? So if I wanted to go, I could get a ticket and go check it out?
Absolutely, okay. Yes, and we encourage that. It's family friendly, so we often have, kind of later elementary school kids. We have middle school, high school students every year. And so this is at the National Hispanic Cultural Center.
Okay.
It's for men and women.
Okay.
And, however you identify, come and celebrate these amazing women with us. March 13th. It's about an hour-long ceremony. Okay. We have a networking reception before, so it's a great chance also to connect with folks from the community. And then, the ceremony, we really focus on just highlighting the stories about these 10 incredible women, what their background is, how they got where they are, what fuels their passion. Yeah. And so, we produce it so that each of the awardees has a little vignette. So it's a lot of fun.
Oh, that's great. That's fantastic. Now, last thing that I have, and this really, again, just thinking in dad mode of my 13-year-old, the future of technology, and when she is my age, or when she is half my age, what technology is going to look like at that point. What advice would you give to young girls that may, the younger version of you that may have not had technology on their radar, but maybe you should? What advice would you give to them?
Yeah, tough question. I mean, in a joking way, I often go to my kids to help with tech sometimes.
Hey,
they are so savvy,
big
right?
Same.
Digital
Big same.
natives. On a very serious note, what I would say to young women out there is, you know inside of you where your passion is, and you know where your drive is, and you know what you love. So go for that. Always lead with that. Always lead with that. And I think it's so hard in this day and age with the social media and the, Insta-perfect facade. Yeah. People think that, they're not good enough, or they don't fit in, or they'll never have that. Do not self-limit. Don't ever self-limit, right? Follow your passion. And I know that sounds, a little cheesy at times, but we all have that. We all have that drive inside of us, right? I knew when I was 7, I wanted to be in business. I had like a little lemonade stand, and I would sell little arts and crafts, and people would give me like pity donations. I had like customers because people were like, "Oh, she's cute, poor thing."
Right.
I might have had some good lemonade. But,
You're right.
right. You know what it is, and so just don't ever lose focus.
You found the tools. You found the tools to be able to get to that point that you want, which I think at the end of the day, that's what's important. And again, highlighting the fact that you may arrive at technology from a very different starting point than what you think technology job would look like. Don't let that limit you either. Like you said, there is a wide world of needs in the tech industry. And just because you may or may not be a physicist or a coder, it doesn't exclude you from it. And don't let that exclude you. Okay.
That's exactly right. And one other thing, find a mentor. Have many mentors. Ask questions. Be curious. I think 9 times out of 10 when you ask a question, somebody else is thinking the same thing. And, you don't have to know it all. I think sometimes women get a little caught up in the imposter syndrome. Like, I have to fake it till I make it. If I show this vulnerability, people aren't, they're going to discredit me. That's not it at all. Find somebody you can trust, whether it's a man or a woman. I've had several fantastic male mentors in my life who've really believed in me and shown me the ropes, right? I think that's also a critical piece because you don't have to go it alone.
Right.
There are people out there to help.
That's a great point. If people want more information on the New Mexico Technology Council in general, where can we go online? And are there other agencies that you would recommend, men and women alike, if they're interested in this field, where they would go?
Yeah. So our website is a wealth of resources, as you pointed out. Thanks, Chad. That's www.nmtechcouncil.org.
Okay.
So make sure you get that .org. And on our site, there's a lot of different resources to links. There's also my personal contact information if anyone wants to reach out to dig in. Then in terms of our partners, if you're looking at non-traditional education, C&M Ingenuity really has a fantastic program that is truly world-class. They often have folks come from all over the world to kind of learn how they've set up this model.
Wow.
They have some tremendous courses outside of programming. They have a quantum camp coming up, which is really exciting. Internet of Things and a digital media. I think there's a couple more.
Okay.
So that's another great place to get started.
Okay, fantastic. Well, I know that we feel like we're kind of in the middle of the revolution, the technology revolution, and it's just kind of going and going. And we just got to keep keep up the pace with it. Mia, we really appreciate the time, the insight, and the expertise that you bring. Please share with everyone there at the Technology Council. We appreciate what you guys are doing. It is so important and so vital to our industries here in the state. So thank you.
Thank you, Chad. And likewise, thank you for doing this program. I think it's really exciting to highlight all of the incredible things. So thank you. And thank you, KRQE.
Yeah,
it's a pleasure
absolutely.
to be here.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be able to do this. And folks, if you want more information on this, or if you want to check out other episodes of New Mexico Frontiers and our digital sister series, just head over to krqe.com. Until next time, I'm Chad Brummett. This has been New Mexico Frontiers, the digital series.